The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh, got my hustle on, no imitation of fad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off-season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
All right, on the line, Earnestly Speaking Media's own sports tank host, new wrestling podcast, also on the network. Mike The Squid's here. Been a long time. What's up?
Living the dream, one nightmare at a time.
Oh man, so we got a lot to talk about. Because this XFL news, obviously I knew about the XFL coming in a couple of years, but I sort of slept on the announcement for the locations, and you kind of made me aware of it yesterday while I was recording my Periscope show yesterday. So they announced the 8 teams. Mike, what are the 8 locations again?
Seattle, which we played at the Seahawks Stadium. Dallas, which we played at Globe Life, which is the home of the Texas Rangers. So they're not playing at Jerry World, they're playing across the street.
Right.
Houston, which I believe is being played at the soccer field there. I'm not 100% sure there.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis, I don't know if they're playing at the Edward Jones Dome, though. I don't think they're playing there. Washington, D.C., which will be played at the brand new Audi Park, which is the home of the D.C. United.
Okay.
Tampa, which we played at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
New York, which we played at MetLife.
Giants Stadium.
Your Giants and
Giants
Jets.
Stadium. No, Giants Stadium. I know Jets play there, but yeah. And the 8th location?
Los Angeles.
And is that going to be at
we played at the StubHub Center.
Oh, okay.
Home of the Galaxy, where I think the Chargers are playing currently.
Yeah, I believe so. The soccer style stadium, 30,000 seated, that the Chargers can't even sell out. You know, they're really good.
Yeah.
Pretty pathetic, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like of all the locations, the one location I'm really interested in seeing really work out is the St. Louis one. Because obviously, all the other some locations have a team. Dallas, Seattle, the New York, the DCs, the LAs, whatever. St. Louis, really, in a lot of ways, I had a lot of friends down in St. Louis who cover a lot of the teams there, the Cardinals and whatnot, and they feel like they got gypped, by the ownership of the Rams. And there is still a pretty strong football fan base there. I mean, obviously people say they didn't sell out the dome there, but I mean I heard it's a shithole. But
yeah.
There's a football frenzy there a little bit, and I'm really interested to see if that town can get behind the St. Louis team.
I think they're going to be just fine in St. Louis. Surprised they went 2 teams in Texas. I'm kind of surprised they put a team in LA knowing that there's 2 NFL franchises there. Kind of surprised we got no Chicago.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of surprised we didn't get a team like in Oklahoma either. A market that could be clamoring for a football franchise.
Down the road, right.
Maybe expansion, maybe when they go to 10 or 12 teams, maybe you see a team in Chicago, a team in Oklahoma, maybe a team in San Diego now that the Chargers are gone. Possibilities there. Also, Seattle gets another franchise to, take over. They get an XFL franchise the day after announcing the NHL is going to go there.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So Seattle's coming up roses,
and possibly NBA in the near future too.
Yeah, so they're going to go from we're a baseball town with the Seahawks and the Mariners to hey, we got all 4 major franchises. we got pretty much all 4 major sports there now.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not surprised though they went LA because, I mean, look, I know they overdid the LA thing with the Chargers and the Rams, and certainly you don't need two teams there in that market because it's a kind of a market that really it's a mixture
Trendy.
of. It's just trendy. No one really I don't think anybody really cares a whole lot about the football in LA in the way that, say, St. Louis would, or even New York to some degree, or Dallas. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, if you're going just based off of football fan bases, you have to put a team in Oklahoma. You'd have to put a team in like Alabama.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't put in one of these little Midwest markets. At least one Midwest market team. But
I'm kind of surprised Atlanta didn't get a team either.
Atlanta, I don't know.
That brand new soccer field they built there for Atlanta FC, that they could put 30,000 fans in that during the spring. They would go.
Atlanta's a very flaky fan base in sports as a whole. Hawks,
unless you're the Braves.
And even the Braves,
100 division titles in a row.
Yeah. I think it feels like the XFL this time around is playing. I think Vince is playing it safe this time. Like the first time around back. Did you watch the XFL back in 2002?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
See, I did initially, but it was too gimmicky. And I think this time around they want to take it more seriously. I think they thought that by being gimmicky, it actually would draw a different crowd. But I think people were turned off by that. I think people who love football as a whole, and I forgot when they're playing this. I mean, I thought they'd be playing this stuff in February, March, right after football's over. I think they're playing it in the summertime, right?
In 2020, I think they said their opening weekend is the Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of smart.
So it's going to be a spring/summer league.
Right.
So it's going to get you from the end of the Super Bowl probably to a couple weeks before training camp.
I think it's smart. I think even if you consider doing it even in the summertime, I get the heat. It's a little bit too much, but yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I think this idea of the XFL trying to compete with the NFL got to go away. You're not going to beat the NFL. The NFL is the biggest thing in the country, and it's by far.
No, the thing that they're going to try to compete with is Eversol's American Association football thing that they're trying to start.
Yeah, and that's starting next year, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, there are a few rules that I like about that. There's a few rules that I've read that I'm kind of about. So Vince, I don't know how well it's going to transition.
Maybe it's old age by Vince McMahon. Obviously, he's in his 70s now. I mean, it doesn't look like he's in his 70s. I mean, dude looks ripped still. But I think he comes in this thing a lot more subdued, a little less cocky, a little more humble. I guess if you remember when he first announced this thing back in 2000, 2000, this whole cockiness and the brashness of, yeah, we're gonna XFL, and now it's a little more subdued, a little more presidential in a lot of ways. I think he's come to this thing with more of a, let's make this work, let's be for real in this one. And I wrote about this back on my blog, back in February or March when they first announced this thing. I think this time around it's going to work.
Oh, I definitely think it's going to work more this time than it did in 99, 2000. The problem was, like you said, he came in brash, thought he was going to beat the NFL, and there's just honestly nobody, in any market or anything that they do that's going to defeat the NFL. Baseball can't do it. Basketball can't do it. Mm-hmm. WWE wrestling is probably the only thing that can compete with the NFL, and it's probably a distant second.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think of it in that standards, Vince is going to try to get a lot of his WWE audience to swing over, like he tried in 99, 2000, and then 2002 when the season started. But the issue there was you had not a lot of talent roster-wise. You had the brash personalities, the Rod Smart, he hate me. You had one or two decent quarterbacks, Tommy Maddox. Other than that, they didn't have talent. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people are thinking may happen again, where I think that they may be wrong. You have a lot more talent coming out of college football with nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. Undrafted guys that made mistakes, guys whose grades may not be, up to par. There are pieces that'll be floating that are going to be available to Vince, And I'm going to say this with about as a straight face as I can. Tommy Maddox had a great run in the XFL. Led the only LA team to the win, and then hooked on with the Steelers for 5 or 6 years? Was a serviceable backup.
Yeah.
Maybe the XFL is the career rebirth of Johnny Manziel.
I mean, the thing about the XFL and even the other league, was it AAF? I think it is. It's
Yeah.
called? Yeah. I think one of the things that I think those leagues today are a lot more acceptable now because there's a lot more options. People like options now. People don't want to be force fed something in a box. I think now you have more options. There's more ways to, you can stream this stuff. You don't necessarily need network television to get behind this anymore. You can have a streaming service. Maybe have your XFL app. There's a lot of things now you can do to market this thing in a way where you're not relying on network television to push a product. And I think this time around, whether you're the XFL, the AAF, you're right. This actually can serve as almost a D League, minor league type of thing for players who don't get the NFL, unsigned drafted players, that they have an option to go somewhere else and play football and make some money and build their stock.
Well, what I did find interesting, and not to get off topic, but the AAF did their quarterback draft Tuesday night.
I saw that, yeah.
And the way they did it was you could protect, with the first round, you could protect a player allocated to you by region, or you could pick a player from the market. So, some of the teams decided to hold pat. Some of them decided to, go elsewhere. And maybe this is the reason why you didn't see Vince expand elsewhere. The AAF has a team in San Diego, a team in Atlanta, a team in Memphis, San Antonio, Birmingham, Arizona, Orlando, and Salt Lake City. So maybe he just was trying to avoid those spots.
Yeah, which I think is smart. Slightly smaller markets too, as well. I think it's smart, actually. To be honest with you,
there were some interesting picks in that. The first
any notables?
The first four teams all protected their quarterbacks.
Okay.
San Diego protected Josh Johnson, who went to the University of San Diego. I think just got signed by Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta protected University of Georgia standout Aaron Murray.
Okay. He's a good player in college.
Memphis protected Troy Cook from University of Tennessee at Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And San Antonio protected Dustin Vaughn, a quarterback from West Texas A&M. Other notables, Trevor Knight, former quarterback from Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Gilbert from SMU. They were the most notables in the first round. Second round, Stephen Morse from the University of Miami went to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Former South Florida Bull B.J. Daniel went to the Salt Lake Stallions.
Remember that guy.
Former Jet Christian Hackenberg was drafted by Memphis in the second round. Third round, only notable from NFL experience, in all honesty, was Scott Tolzien, former University of Wisconsin standout. And in the fourth round, Zach Mettenberger, also a former Jet, went to LSU, was drafted by Memphis. And then one I hold dear and near to my heart just because of where he went to school. With the final pick of the quarterback draft in the fourth round, the San Diego Fleet selected Alex Ross, quarterback, Coastal Carolina University.
CC.
No shots.
All right. And when are they playing? What section of the year they're playing football?
They're going to start. Where's their start date? I just saw it a minute ago. The 9th of February, 2019. So
they are competing with XFL in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Once XFL starts in a year after that.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. They're supposed to start in more close to the summertime. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I mean, obviously you'll get a feeler next year of this league, and then you'll have the XFL the year after, and see how there's room for adjustment, obviously too. I mean,
yeah, everybody's gonna have to just see what happens with the talent that each can get out there. Because that's the thing. You have to get these guys to potentially maybe not go to a bunch of tryout camps. There's going to be guys that are going to go up in Canada, going to be playing in Canada. You got to see if they can get released from their contracts, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The CFLs in the summer as well. So that's something you're going to have to watch out for. Notable for the AAF, though, Orlando Apollo's head coach, former Florida Gator coach, Steve Spurrier.
Whoa, he's back?
Steve Spurrier is going to be the coach of the Orlando franchise.
Whoa, all right. I'll be watching that.
I want to see who the other coaches are now.
I feel like I'm obligated to, in XFL, to be a New York fan because I'm a New Yorker. Like, I'm just obligated to be a New York fan, just by nature.
See, I was talking to my co-host of the new wrestling show that I'm doing, and Joe was telling me, he goes, I feel like I need to be he said the same thing. He goes, go, New York, and I'm like, I need to hear what everyone's mascot is before I decide to make a decision, because there's some of these that are going to be like terrible. Like, I told Joe, I think if it was the New York Empire, because in the video that Vince showed, there was a lot of like them mentioning Empire. So I was like, if that's the case, I could kind of see like that being really cool. But it's like, if there are like the really bad ones where it's like the Seattle Space Needles,
right?
I'm like, okay, you guys are the worst. I need you out of my face, please. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what happens.
I'm actually curious how the media, how sports media as a whole, not just the independent places, but like ESPN, FS1, and the others, how they're if they're even going to cover these leagues.
I mean, I figure you have to at least give them, something. I mean, you're not going to go out and give them like the NFL draft guys and all that stuff, but I feel like you still have to at least acknowledge the fact that they're there.
Yeah. I mean, there's some names that people know here. I mean, Hackenbergs and all that. I mean, there's some names. If you're a football diehard, you'll definitely recognize some of these names. I mean, no doubt about that. I feel like, in your opinion, with the XFL, the 8 teams, which location do you think will have the most rabid fan base? And let's make a prediction. Like, who do you think will have the most rabid fan base? Based on the market.
I'm probably going to say Seattle.
Ooh.
Those guys normally really get behind their squads very heavily.
Especially soccer.
I would say it's Seattle, and then I would say it's probably DC.
I would have said St. Louis and Seattle. Only because St. Louis is starting football again.
I think St. Louis will be behind them. I don't know how rabid they're going to be.
Right.
I feel like if you go to Seattle and Washington, you're going to get some pretty rowdy fan bases.
Yeah, they're pretty passionate about. They're actually a low key, diehard sports city. Like even the Mariners gets a lot of love down there. The Seahawks obviously the 12th man, but even the Sounders, the soccer team, gets a lot of love out there.
Oh, absolutely. They're filled almost every game.
So I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to watching the XFL in 2 years, and the AAF starts in a couple months actually. By calculation. All right. Baseball. Any Bryce Harper updates?
Last thing I heard is that he's had conversations with multiple teams. Nothing on the decision front. A lot of people I'm reading is saying it's Washington or he's going to Philly.
So NL East, pretty much.
That's what they're saying. But with the signing of Patrick Corbin, I don't know how much more money the Nationals are allotting to spend this offseason that they want to spend. So he may have to take a couple of less years to go to D.C., where I know Philadelphia is now probably close to all in. The move to get Gene Segura, moved Carlos Santana, which means they can move Bruce Hoskins from the outfield to first base. They have a new solidified shortstop that can hit leadoff for him in Gene Segura. The money swap of Santana and Segura, and then including J.P. Crawford, I feel like the Phillies are in a win now mode, but I don't know if their move is Bryce Harper or if their move is to address the starting rotation. Their move is to address the starting rotation. Look for them to go after a guy like Dallas Keuchel or maybe a Jay Happ if the Yankees can't re-sign him. If it's an all-in on offense, then you could see Harper or Machado probably end up in the city of brotherly love.
Now, you're a gambling man, so I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to bet the Nationals on the field, who would you bet on?
I would take the Nationals.
Really? See, the Nationals are famous.
I would take the Nationals because the Nationals tend to pay Scott Boras clients. There's a lot of people that don't want to pay Scott Boras clients, which, I understand. But for some reason, the Nationals have a good rapport with him, especially after the Steven Strasburg thing. So I feel like they have a really good rapport with Boras. I think they get it done. but I don't think it's the contract that everybody thinks is going to happen. I think this is going to be like a 3 or a 4-year deal for $20 million a year. They're going to add years to it. They're going to make it look prettier by making it a 8 or a 10-year deal, but he's going to have an opt-out probably after 4, which if I'm Harper, I invoke unless, I fall down a flight of stairs and break my leg. I mean, in reality, when you probably look at it, it's probably more of a 3 to 4 year deal with the opt-out. But I think I think he stays in DC.
Almost Stanton-ish in a sense, the structure of the deal, if you were to predict it.
Well, if you look at it from the standpoint, these great, and I'm going to call Harper great slugger, because the guy can hit the ball anywhere at any time. These guys want to cash in while the iron's hot. Especially in Stanton's case, coming off of the years of hitting monstrosity home runs in Marlins Park. But the thing is, the difference between Harper and Stanton, Harper can play the outfield very well.
Yeah.
Stanton is sometimes a defensive liability.
Yeah.
But Harper has really found a way to, in a pinch, in a 2-2 count, he can shorten his swing up and go for a base hit or go for a double. Whereas Stanton is really, I have one swing and I'm just going to swing for the fences. I feel like the Marlins made that move because they had the idea that they were going to trade him no matter what.
Security asset, and then when a team comes to ask,
they pleased the fan base by making it look good on paper. They kept everybody happy, and I feel like the thing is, and this is going to sound really bad, if Jose Fernandez doesn't die, they trade Stanton that offseason. I personally feel like if they had Jose to build around, they keep Yelich, they keep Ozuna, they trade Stanton and get back whatever they can get.
Yeah, trade a big contract, keep the mid-level guys. Yeah,
they get prospects, they get a guy like Starlin Castro. Okay, so now you have Castro in that offense with Ozuna and Yelich and Realmuto and Bohr. You have an ace in Jose Fernandez, but I feel like when he died, that whole front office said, wow, we've got nothing left. Let's just nuke this thing.
Yeah.
Which led to Ozuna being traded to St. Louis, Yelich getting moved to Milwaukee, Stanton to New York. And some of the pieces they've gotten back look like they could be really good pieces. Starlin Castro played well for him last year. Lewis Brinson at the tail end of the year started hitting better after slumping at the start. Sandy Alcantara looks really good for them pitching-wise. But now the question is what do you do with JT Realmuto? Everyone that doesn't live under a rock knows that Realmuto doesn't want to be there through a rebuild. There are teams that want him, but is there a team that's going to pay the ransom to get him? He's one of the best defensive catchers, actually probably one of the best catchers top to bottom in baseball. I don't know if there's a team that goes out there and will sell the ransom. There was rumors floating around of the Yankees were interested in a Gary Sanchez for JT Realmuto straight up, and I proceeded to tell anyone that would listen that if I was the Marlins, I would pick up the phone and tell Derek Jeter to lose our phone number. Or I would tell Derek Jeter to call Brian Cashman and tell him to lose our phone number. Because at the end of the day, why would you trade one of the best catchers in baseball for a guy who's a defensive liability?
That's true. So basically, in closing on the Bryce Harper thing real quick, no Yankees, no Cubs, no Dodgers? I mean, at this point, nothing? I mean, because that's all we heard through the years, like, big market, Yankees can be Bryce Harper and Cubs, and now all I've heard now is staying in Washington. I've heard St. Louis. I've heard,
I'd say St. Louis. I'd say St. Louis is out now.
Yeah, they were at one point a wild card in this situation.
I feel like they could have been a player early, but the minute they acquired Paul Goldschmidt, they were done.
Yeah. By the way, is that a good move for the Cardinals in the short term?
Love it. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Here's the thing. If you look at, a lot of people are questioning this because Goldie only has 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah.
You are not in a bad spot if you're the Cardinals because now you move Matt Carpenter to third base. You keep Colton Wong and who the hell's there? Shortstop. Paul DeYoung. You keep those guys in a set spot. You gave up Luke Weaver, who had a pretty good year last year, but not great. Carson Kelly, a catching prospect,
who, from what I've read about him, is he has, throwing problems, controlling his throw down to second base. So, you get him out of there and you move another prospect and you get 1 year of Paul Goldschmidt. And I'm not going to lie to you, you're getting the best first baseman in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Best defensively, best overall swing. I was watching MLB Network this morning. They said he's in 81 games against the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers in his career. Paul Goldschmidt is hitting .368 with 27 home runs
mm-hmm.
and a 1.174 on-base plus slugging. And that's not including the times that he plays Pittsburgh and Cincinnati in that division. So you're going to go get a guy who's going to hit well, and he's a guy that's going to hit third or fourth in that lineup. He's going to lengthen that lineup up drastically. And the last time this happened, the Cardinals traded in the offseason, got Matt Holliday, had 1 year left on his contract. Matt Holliday re-upped the next year in St. Louis. I feel like the way St. Louis does this is they sell low, get guys in the final years of their contract, open up their arms, show them the Cardinal way. And people love St. Louis.
Yep.
They love their fan base. They love the GM. They love what the ownership's willing to do. And they get those guys to stay there. So they kind of give them that hospitality of, hey, here's a little sample. Now will you sign for the next 5 years with us? And a lot of those guys will do it. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to sit there and go, well, I can play in St. Louis and be in a playoff hunt every year, or I can go to Minnesota and finish 35 games under 500 for $3 million more a year.
Yeah, St. Louis was never a team that ever went big on like when Pujols got expensive. Bye, you know what I mean?
They're never going to overpay.
No, exactly, and it's worked for them. It's worked for them. Why do I stop now?
Well, what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to get Paul in there. They're gonna let him get adjusted. They're gonna let him see, those guys that play there every day. And see if they can kind of get him. Okay, he doesn't have to take $35 million less, but if he takes $10 or $20 million less over a 5 to 7 year contract, and he becomes the new Albert Pujols and probably the best first baseman they've had since then. And now St. Louis has a cornerstone to build through for the next 5 years because Yachty's eventually going to have to hang them up. Matt Carpenter. Hopefully they can just leave him at third base. Now, he's been a rotating rover piece because either somebody gets hurt or they're not performing well. Matt Carpenter's a great third baseman, but the problem is he hasn't been able to play third base for the last 3 years because he had to play all over the place.
Right.
So getting him some stability will hopefully keep his bat hot throughout the year. Harrison Bader hit well for them at the end of the year. Didn't have to give him up to get Paul Goldschmidt. I don't think they're done by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like they're going to go get a starting pitcher. They're a team that could go after Dallas Keuchel. They're a team that could go after Jay Happ. There's a couple of lesser-known guys that they could go get. There's still plenty of pitching out there. So for anyone who thinks the sky is falling because, the Red Sox were able to re-sign Nathan Eovaldi, which great re-sign by them, 4 years for $67 million.
Right.
So being able to get him, it's not the end of the world. Patrick Corbin going to Washington. The sky is not falling. Dallas Keuchel's still available. Charlie Morton is still available. Jay Happ. Wade Miley, who pitched well for Milwaukee, he's still available. Clay Buchholz, who put in a 2.01 ERA in 16 starts with the Diamondbacks before he got hurt, could be a possible guy that you could go get. An innings eater like Gio Gonzalez, he's available. Trevor Cahill, your boy Matt Hardy, he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are pieces out there that you can go get that that aren't the end of the day, the be all end all. And just to end the Harper conversation,
mm-hmm.
He's not going to LA because Machado's staying in LA.
You think so? Okay.
Yes. That's why I think he ends up either going to DC or going to Philly. Because Machado was the logical spot for Philadelphia. But once they traded for Gene Segura, it makes Machado, who wants to play shortstop, not really a desirable location anymore. So I think he stays at the Dodgers. They move Corey Seager to second base now that they need a second baseman. And that offense just got stupid deep.
I want to ask you your quick synopsis on, I already know you told me privately, but I want to say publicly on the podcast, your thoughts on the Cano trade in New York. I want to hear you say this publicly. Does this move the needle at all for the Mets?
Does it move the needle? Yes and no. I feel like the big thing in the situation is they've got to find a way to get the ball to Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz was the piece that was acquired in this. Yes, he was the valuable piece in this, and this is what cost you the prospects. And I know there's a couple of people that have talked to me that said, I feel like we gave up too much. I feel like you have the best closer in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Your problem is getting the ball to him. Your problem is going to be going out there and getting guys, an Adam Ottavino, Andrew Miller. Go get me guys that can pitch the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning to get me the ball to Edwin Diaz. Because here's the thing. The Mets could be serious contenders, but they cannot ask Jacob DeGrom, Noah Syndergaard to throw 8 innings a game to get the ball to Edwin Diaz.
Right. They need relief help. Not
for 60 starts between the two of them. 35 each, probably.
Right.
70 starts.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot ask those guys to pitch 240-plus innings, to get the ball to Edwin Diaz in the ninth. You can't do it. They're never going to be able to hold up. Right. They're a team that has to go get – you need to go get a guy. You need to go get a Keuchel. You need to go get a Morton. You need to go get a Gio Gonzalez. And you need to go over. You need to get a Andrew Miller. You need to get some pieces to get you the ball. Here you go. Little known name for you that was a big piece of the Red Sox that you guys should go get that would set you up perfectly. Joe Kelly. Go get Joe Kelly. Guy throws 100 cheddar, and guess what? There's a guy who can throw you 2 innings, give him a day off, he'll throw you 2 more the next day. Or you can go 1-1-1-1, pitch him for 4 days, and he's out for a day.
Yep.
There's other pieces there. But that guy will throw 100
He was
cheddar.
great. He was great in the playoffs. He was great in the playoffs.
He fixed the Red Sox bullpen after we lost that first game of the Yankees.
Yeah.
He came out in that game when we was 1-1, and he shut them down. And literally, that was the piece that fixed the Red Sox bullpen.
I mean, if the Mets going to spend money like they are now, they're going to go ahead and go all in. Might as well go all in the right way. Fill every hole necessary. You know what I mean? I'm with you 100%.
And I'm someone who everyone asks me, okay, well, if you're the Red Sox, what do? You just re-signed Nathan Eovaldi. You have your number 2 or 3 starter now. What is your next move? Is it to go get another first baseman to platoon with Mitch Moreland? Is it to go do this? Is it to go do that? No, it's real simple. It's re-sign Joe Kelly, make him your closer, sign Andrew Miller, make him your setup man, and let Craig Kimbrell go get 6 years from somebody else that'll pay him.
Right. All right, before I let you go, you've had a good year in sports for the most part. Capitals win the Stanley Cup over the summer. Your Red Sox won the World Series 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Sort of. You had a great year except for football. Your Bengals are falling apart, man. And then I got this report earlier today on Twitter that Marvin Lewis may or may not be back next year. There's gonna be some talk about him.
Marvin Gate 2019. I would be a fickle fan, and someone who couldn't really look himself in the mirror if I didn't tell you that guy deserves a lot of credit for what he's done for that organization.
Right.
15 years as the head coach. He hasn't got a playoff win, and that's unfortunate. And I don't think Marvin deserves that rap. They've had some really good teams. They just ran into some really dumb things. Carson tearing his ACL in that game against Pittsburgh on the first drive.
Yeah.
The Vontaze penalty, and then the penalty getting himself into the fight with Joey Porter that nobody seems to fucking remember that Joey Porter shouldn't have been on the field.
Yeah.
That just those two right there are runs that you consider. If Carson doesn't get hurt, that team could have played for an AFC title. That team that Vontaze got in the fight with, that team was pretty stacked top to bottom. The couple years where they went into Houston and just really laid an egg against them, and Matt Schaub did just enough to get wins. Marvin doesn't deserve the bad rap that Marvin inevitably gets, to an extent. Now, let me say that to an extent. His coaching tree, for some reason, when they coached with him, were great. But when they coached separately, they could not get the job done. Jay Gruden, having trouble in Washington. Hugh Jackson, been fired twice. But those guys together as a unit was the sickest thing to watch as a fan.
Yeah.
They'd put up 35 points a game. They'd give up 17, and it didn't matter what buttons you pressed. Everything worked.
Very underrated coaching tree too. I mean, you got Zimmer, you got Gruden. You got a lot of guys gotten jobs through the Bengals' success.
I did tell you this, though, 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. The day Mike Zimmer signed in Minnesota, I said Zim should only be coaching orange and black. They should have let Marvin go that offseason, and Zim should have been the guy. And I stand by that. I think Mike Zimmer should be the coach of this organization. This organization, took Zim in, and then unfortunately when his wife passed away, this was the organization he was with. And, a lot of us, fan-wise, player-wise, we all love Zim to death. So, I feel like Zim should be the head coach of this franchise. But, when Marvin's all said and done, I think he is inevitably going to step down at the end of the year and take a advisory role. And then Hugh Jackson, I think, is inevitably going to be the next head coach of.
That's what I've been saying. Yep, that's what I've been saying. I think it's all set up already. I think the next step's already set in place. The day they signed Hugh Jackson, I was like, yep. I think Marvin will either get fired or step down or something or whatever.
I don't think the Brown family has it in to fire Marvin.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you're ever going to see the words Marvin Lewis fired. Because if that was the case, it probably would happen right now in the middle of this 4-game losing streak. But for some reason, and I'm not going to say for some reason, the fact that the Brown family has enough respect for Marvin, as a member of that organization, who, lifted this team from Achilles Smith and, the garbage that was here, 2-12s, 2-14s, I feel like the Brown family is kind of letting Marvin go out and do this. But I feel like this end, and this is what I feel like this is an end. It's going to be an end for a lot of things. I told you this privately. I'll tell you publicly. I read a report that Andy Dalton has $17 million. They can cut him, and zero of it goes against their cap. I don't think Andy Dalton will play another game in Bengal orange and black. I don't.
It's a shame too.
I feel like if Hugh Jackson's going to come in and take this thing over, I think Hugh Jackson wants somebody he wants, and a name that I floated out that would make perfect sense in a dream world would be to go get Derek Carr. Derek Carr with AJ Green and Tyler Boyd and John Ross, those guys. You go get Derek Carr, and then the unfortunate news I read earlier today about Alex Smith with the infection.
Oh my God!
From his injury, there's a guy that could love Andy Dalton, and it was Jay Gruden, and Jay Gruden is the head coach of the Washington Redskins. So maybe Andy Dalton goes and resurges his career in Washington with Jay. And I'll tell you this much, and any Bengal fan that tells you otherwise lives under a rock. If Andy Dalton leaves, I'll be the first person to go to war for Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton has went through
the Ginger Ninja.
That guy's gotten destroyed, decapitated, broken bones, played through them all, and never complained. Never complained in the 4-12 year, the 7-9, or the playoff runs. Andy's always taken every lump that the media's thrown at him and taken every one of them in stride.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Anyone that's a Bengal fan wants to crap on Andy Dalton, take that shit somewhere else because you're not going to get an ear from me. I will always think of 14 fondly, and if this is the end for Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, I will root for him no matter where he goes. Pittsburgh, I'll root for him. Cleveland, I'll root for him. Washington, I'll definitely root for him. I want all the success in the world for 14. I mean, I hope he stays, but I don't think it's going to happen unless he takes a pay cut.
I think it's possible he could stay. I mean, the market value on a quarterback, $17 million is not a bad value for a quarterback. I mean, right now, and look at it this way: they were playing very well up until the injuries. They were first place in the AFC North prior to the injuries. So, I mean, if you evaluate it in a vacuum, it's I think one more year could be the trick.
There are currently 11 Bengals on injured reserve.
Yeah. I was saying earlier today, too, like, other than the Redskins, the Bengals have been devastating injuries from the starting lineup.
Yep.
AJ Green out for the year, too. Yeah, so.
If Hugh Jackson decides to take over and make a move at quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised. You could also see Andy Dalton stay and then draft somebody in the first round, depending on who's available. I feel like this team has other needs besides quarterback that needs to be addressed. I feel like they need some linebackers. I feel like they need another corner or two.
Right.
So I feel like that's going to be defense is going to be more their move in the draft. But I could be totally off here. I think it's all going to also depend on where they spend some money in the offseason to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll be interested to see what the Bengals do the next couple of weeks as the season comes to a close. Mike, anyway, before I let you go, promote the new podcast.
New podcast, trying to get it up and running, working on some kinks.
Yeah.
This Day in Wrestling. It's myself and former co-host of another sports show I used to do. My friend resides in New York. What we do is there's a Reddit stream where it says This Day in Wrestling History that you can find on the WWE Network for only $9.99 a month. Me and Joe will watch a show. The first episode is up. It was December to Dismember, a WWE ECW pay-per-view from 2006. We watched the show. We then gave our thoughts on the show, read some things that happened before leading into the show, and some things that happened after the show. We also we decided to do that show a couple of days before its actual date, because the actual date on that was December 6th. That day actually had another event that we wanted to watch, which we both have watched. We're trying to record it, but we have some scheduling conflicts. It is this Tuesday in Texas, the Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan rematch.
Yes, December 91.
Correct. We both have watched that. We're just trying to do some scheduling, move some stuff around so we can record that.
Right.
That's why if you see the episode, it'll say December 6th, Part 1, because Part 2 is this Tuesday in Texas. Moving forward, we're going to just pick a different show. We're going to try to do 2 or 3 shows a week if we can, schedule-wise. And we'll just watch the shows, then we'll give you our thoughts on the shows, some things that we loved about it, some things we hated about it. A lot of it's going to be us talking about how bad some things were. Like, if you go back and listen to the show right now, you can hear about how terrible the Elimination Chamber was when they decided to put weapons in it.
I'll tell you what, these wrestling commentary podcasts are so popular. Like, obviously, it's something to wrestle with Pritchard and Conrad. It's great. Obviously the Eric Bischoff show. I mean, it's really picked up a lot of steam in the last couple of years.
It's been great. I listened to all 3 of Conrad's with Shivani, Bischoff, and Pritchard. They're all entertaining.
Yeah.
And I think our thing is, a lot of those guys have the background of what was going on backstage.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the thing with me and Joe is we're both really big avid wrestling fans. Me and Joe will be going to our 9th straight WrestleMania this year in New York. We're both going to Phoenix for Royal Rumble. So, we try to do these things where we can, talk about some fun things or things that, what the hell were they thinking in 1991 of having this 5-match pay-per-view on a random Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be something we're going to talk about. Spoiler. WWE tried to make Tuesday another popular pay-per-view night, and it stunk so bad. And I feel like it stunk so bad because you had Undertaker versus Hogan, you had Jake versus Randy, and you had 3 matches that had no place on that card.
Yeah. Yeah. They tried some wacky shit back in the 80s and 90s. That maybe it's skip ahead. So that was one of them. That's definitely one of those things. So anyway, Squid, we'll talk soon. Hot stove time. When this Bryce thing comes to head, we'll definitely have Ring Win, and we'll react to it, of course, and see what happens there.
Sounds like a plan, sir.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later. All right.
Mahalo. Yep.
All right, on the line to me, of course, old friend of the pod. It's been a little while, since April, May. Fellow Met fan, Cliff Connors with us. What's up, bud?
What's happening, man?
Good. Last time we spoke, the Mets were actually playing good baseball. I think they were playing good baseball all the time, anyway.
No. Remember? No, when we spoke,
it was
the beginning of their slide because
okay.
It was. I want to say March, April, May. It was around May because I know I left Vegas in June, so it was May.
So this is your second time or third time on the pod?
That's correct.
So this is your second time on the pod or third time on the pod? Third time, right?
Number 2, sir.
Number 2. Okay. So who did I talk to in the matchup where like 13-1, 13-2 at the time?
Probably me, but personally, I'm assuming. I don't know.
My buddy Matt.
It was afterwards because we got into the Callaway conversation. It was after that whole debacle, which happens to be hilarious because Riggleman, who's now his his bench coach.
I saw that.
Was the guy who came out with the lineup card saying this is incorrect. But it was right out. It was after that.
Well, they made a splash this week. They got Robinson Cano. They got Edwin Diaz. I like what the Mets are doing. I think you're the baseball honk on this podcast right now. I love baseball, but you're definitely the honk of it. My analysis is this. Is that I think the Mets took a temperature in the room took the temperature of the division and realized none of these teams in the division right now, Washington, Philly, Atlanta, while they're on the up and up, they're not teams that are to be scared of. Like, they're not dominant teams. You know, these are young teams. And the Mets still have players that I believe they're just a healthy season away from being in the mix. I mean, this team went to the World Series 3 years ago. All right? They were in the playoffs 2 years ago. The Mets aren't far off. I mean, if they were a healthy team, certainly they could be in the mix. I think the Mets management realized, you know what, we got to go all in now and just trust these players, make a move here, and just go and see what we can do. I get the fear. Like, I go on social media, and you're all over social media defending the Mets move here. I love what you're doing there, because a lot of these Mets fans are a bunch of pansies. Like, these prospects. Look, they're fucking prospects. Prospects don't mean shit until they actually are developed.
It's been 32 years since they've won a World Series, and I don't give a flying fuck about it, about the prospects being moved whatsoever. As far as the other teams in the division, that's going to be the best division in baseball before opening day, 1 through 4, because of the signing yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, of Corbin with the Nationals.
Right.
The Phillies are young and good. The Braves are young and better. The Nationals they still have a ton of talent. Like, the Robles kid is out there, Soto's out there, Eaton's out there,
and Harper,
Turner's out there, Rendon's out there. Yeah, if that's a possibility, you know, I mean, would it surprise me if he went back there? Kind of. That just means he didn't get any more money, in my opinion, from anybody else, because they offered him a deal. As far as the move that they made, Mets fans that don't like the move are what kind of future are you looking forward to? You have the best staff you're ever going to see, if they're healthy, maybe in your lifetime. So that window closes in like 2 and 3 years. You know, they might be able to I'm sure they locked DeGrom up. But Wheeler's probably going to be gone, and who knows about Syndergaard, and we haven't seen any consistency from Max.
Right.
So why on earth would you not go for it? Now, people want to talk about, you know, closers being arms that are, you know, it's volatile and stuff like that. And I get all that. In 2015, that team had a really good rotation. Mm-hmm. Cespedes blew up in the regular season after they picked him up, and Murphy had a huge postseason, and it worked around pitching. So what they're doing is they're building around the staff. They're bolstering their bullpen. They're going to get Miller or Kimbrel, one of the two left-handers. They've got bridge guys like DeSelman and Lugo. So those starters, the bridge guys in the back end of the bullpen, look to be solidified, you know, as long as they do sign one of those two lefties. Now we're working on, we've got other glaring holes, you know. Robinson Cano, yeah, he's off of PEDs. When he came back, his hard hit ball rate was high. He still was hitting the ball, hitting line drives, not striking out, except I don't think he's far from done. And even if they get 2 good years out of him, those are the 2 years they're trying to win.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Do you want to just sit around and have the mediocrity that they have the last 2 years? You know, last year in the second half, they were one of the best teams in the National League.
No, I'm with you. I like the bold move here. I mean, look, I was all in back in 2010, 11 when they were rebuilding from scratch, when they brought in Alderson and trying to rebuild from scratch, you know, post Madoff bullshit. I supported the 5-year plan. It worked. We got to the World Series 5 years later, by the way, you know. But at some point, you have to say, you know what? Okay, this is enough. Let's put the chips all in. We're not a bad team. Let's get another big name, you know, who's still productive. You know, Edwin Diaz, who is many feel is the best closer in baseball right now. I like the move. I like the aggressiveness. I like the balls here.
57 saves last year and 61 opportunities, and they won every single game that he came into the lead, whether he blew it or not. So when you're throwing the ball 98, 100, and you've got a 91 to 93 mile an hour slider, very much like, you know, a Syndergaard when he's healthy, and you're 24 years old with 4 years of control, making like a max of $35 million in arbitration if you're at your best throughout the whole time. What are people who don't like that are fucking insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm with you. I mean, you could have said any better. You could have said any better.
They're talking about baggage with Cano. All that does is bring a bigger, bat into that lineup. Everybody's been bitching for years. Jay Bruce strikes out. Lucas Duda strikes out. Everybody strikes out too much. Cano doesn't fucking strike out. You know, he drives runs in. Shit just drives me nuts with like the lack of, it's all about, it's money and all this and that. You know who the only player as of right now who's on the Mets payroll post 2020 or 2020, however, whatever you want to call it? You know who it is? Robbie Cano. Before that, they had nobody on the payroll after 2020. $0.
That's interesting. Although you figure,
right?
LA figure maybe, I don't know, maybe DeGrom, I don't know. What's your thoughts? Well, first off, let me ask a question about this. So with this move now, and by the way, they're not making a move. They're still staying aggressive, talking to teams, other players, whatever. This window we're talking about now, is this a 2-year window?
Is it a 2-year window?
Yeah.
That's difficult to say. It's 2 or 3. It really depends on what they do with the rotation. Like, if Wheeler, say Wheeler looks like he did last year, his last, 15, 17 starts. He actually had better numbers in the second half last year than Jacob DeGrom does. So if he has like a pretty good first half, can you find a way to sign this guy who's had 2 surgeries, et cetera, for like 2 years, like during the season, right? Like extend him for like 2 years and $20 million right after a guy like Evaldi just got 4 years and $67 million, and he's had 3 arm surgeries. So there's like a question mark there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So you're building around your pitching, and that pitching is that it's closing. It's just difficult. So they're in the mode of, we're not fucking around here. We're making moves. We're trying to win. They're in a very difficult division. You think that there's nobody that's scary. I think everybody but the Marlins are. That's just my point.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is there's no Red Sox or Yankees.
There's no Red Sox, yeah,
you know what
or
I'm saying? Indians
or Astros or whatever. You're right. Even though the Indians this year will be different than last year, but they'll still win that division. Either way, no, it's just a lot. It's just a lot about the pitching staff, in my opinion, and I think that's really when Brody came in, like he sees what's going on here. He knows you're not going to be able to lock up all these guys long term. So why not use what we can and what we have now and move forward? And now we've got a core 4, in my opinion, of like a McNeil. He's the number 4, but you have Conforto. I would rank it Conforto, Rosario, Nimmo, McNeil. As a core 4, you own controllable players. But now we get into how do we get better behind the plate? And what's going on in this whole saga with Real Muto, and they want one, controllable piece that's already major league ready, and basically they're asking for Conforto or Rosario. And the logical thing for the Mets would be Nimmo, because Conforto is like a 30-100 guy when he's right. There's just no 2 ways around it.
Right. Yeah. To me, he's hands off. To me, he's hands off.
Yeah,
fuck him.
But that's the thing. But his name's still being brought up, and it's fucking driving me nuts because he's like untouchable in my opinion. He's, in my opinion, after Cespedes, being on the DL, the 2 untouchables are DeGrom and him. So I'm just totally, it would fucking boggle my mind and drive me nuts if they dealt Conforto to get Real Muto.
Speaking of right,
go ahead.
Speaking of DeGrom, you mentioned DeGrom. Are they committed to him long term now, or because
no,
they're not.
No, he's got this year and next. So they'll make their decision obviously in that time period. I don't think they'll. They're going to probably do everything they can to lock him up. But he's still making don't quote me on the number, but I want to say he's going to make a big arbitration number this year. 16 million? I don't know. It's going to be big. We'll know that in, I think, 2 weeks, but it'll be pretty big, and when you add up their payroll, a lot of people think that the Cano deal was a bad thing for their payroll. Well, it really shed some payroll. I just read an article the other day, and I kind of just briefly reread it. it actually brought it down to where they're going to be able to spend a little bit more money, and they have a little bit more money, apparently, according to, the Wilpons to spend, but at the same time, they're not going to be players in Machado and Harper, which is that's the real mess.
Right. Syndergaard's future, from what I'm reading now, Syndergaard's off the table for now, unless a nice offer is presented.
Right, and there's another thing that's up there right now talking about how the Indians really want to deal Kluber, and Nimmo would be a part of that deal because they need outfielders, et cetera. But I don't really think that you need this. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I would love the guy there, but they don't have the assets anyway if they're going to do the Real Muto thing, whatever. But do we really need Kluber in that rotation as well? And then when they do get to the playoffs, which if everybody stayed healthy, I don't think it'd be a question that they'd be at least in a wild card game. Then you have to make decisions, et cetera. I don't know. I kind of feel like a really good option for them would be to move Vargas to a long man or whatever you want to do with him and sign a guy like Gio Gonzalez, extremely cheap, who pitches really well in that ballpark.
Right. Well, the moves on the table right now for the Mets, like you see, like they can definitely tap into.
So they're looking at AJ Pollock, but his price tag is a little bit more than I think he's worth, just based on the fact that he's injured every year. I mean, he's always, sprained thumb. He's like Lagares. That's basically what he is. But he's a better hitter. Not as good of a defensive center fielder, even though he's a really good defensive center fielder. But he just gets injured all the time, year in and year out. And he's looking for 4 or 5 years, $80 million or so. And the Mets are it's well known that they're interested in him. Brody's come out, he's spoken about it, etc. And that's basically what they're trying to do is they want to get better up the middle. So behind the plate and in center field. Mm-hmm. And so do I. But you've got the Grandals and the Ramoses out there. And Martin Maldonado, if you're looking for defense. Problem is they don't have any right-handed bats except for Alonso, really.
Right.
And he's unproven so far at that level. Do I think he's going to hit? Yeah, he's going to hit home runs. You got to let the kid. You got to see what he can do at that level, and that's kind of why I'm a little upset about last year. But that brings up a whole other thing because if they keep him in the minors for 11 games and they have another full year of control of him this year. But if you're all in, don't you just say fuck that last year? These 11 games mean as much as the last 11,
right?
And just start your best.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you need a right-handed bat. You need a couple of them. They just, all they have is Rosario and Alonso at this point.
True.
So they're trying to fill these gaps, and this Real Muto stuff is crazy because they're not budging on, Rosario, Nimmo, or Conforto has to be in the deal. How do you get rid of any of those guys?
Well, so it's going to be very interesting rest of the 2019 and this winter meetings and all this stuff. I'm just glad the Mets are back to wheeling and dealing. I mean, look, I was all for the conservative thing the last couple of years, but at some point you got to fucking get down to business and sign some players, man, and really get aggressive. You know what I mean? And I love what you were saying on social media. You have to give us something to get something. I mean, people need to stop thinking that, just give me the farm and then some, and then you get nothing back. That doesn't work that way, dude. It takes two to tango.
What do you think this is? And at this point, in my opinion, they need to turn the fucking phone off when it comes to the Marlins calling. Just go sign Grandal 3 for 39 or 3 for 42. Right. Basically what he's looking for. Even though I have my concerns, I wanted Wilson Ramos at first. I still kind of do. I don't care which one they go get, but I don't think you give up Nimmo to, or definitely not Conforto or Rosario to get Real Muto when you've got free agent options out there, and you're creating another hole in the outfield. Who's to say that? Because apparently the Reds of all people are players on Pollock also.
What?
So it's
okay.
Apparently the Reds are looking for a big pitcher and a center fielder. And I mean, who do they think they're beating? Walt Jocketty is, I think that's their owner or GM or whatever. I mean, smoking crack. I just don't understand it. But, you have Joey Votto there. You're like, okay, that's good enough. That'll bring, the 700 people in a night that you've been getting for the last 4 years. Whatever. But yeah, back to the Mets. As far as Grandal and Ramos go, those are two guys that you really have to look at. Don't You don't need to. Your corner outfield is set. You need, Lagares is coming back. If he can stay healthy until Cespedes comes back, look out, because Cespedes is essentially like, Brody was saying, he's essentially like an acquisition after the All-Star break if all goes well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sign a catcher, you can sign a reliever, and another guy that I really, really, really like, would be Marwin Gonzalez, because he can play all over the diamond, literally everywhere but behind the plate and throwing the baseball.
Right. All right, man. Give me some good wagers this week in the NFL. What you got cooking for the NFL in terms of some wagers? Like what? Cause I'm looking at these spreads, man. Look, I'm not very confident, in any of these games. Really, be honest with you, either way. Maybe a few games I'm looking at like, okay, that's okay, but the majority of these spreads, man, Vegas has me in a fucking bind right now. I don't know if I'm confident doing a 3-team parlay this weekend.
So I'm big on the. I'm not the greatest at this these days or ever really.
Who is really?
However, no, yeah, you've got to be like 60+% to be any good. That's over the course of a long time. I think really the safest bet of the week would be the Chiefs over 53 with Baltimore.
Really?
I really like that a lot. And it's difficult for me not to like Houston. -5.5. Personally, I'd buy the half point down to 5. But I like Houston. Those are probably the two right now that I would say. I could say I like Buffalo against the Jets as like a homer type deal, but
yeah, I was looking at that too. Like, maybe.
It's just one of those things. Buffalo at home is they're pretty good. Their defense is really good. Yeah. Josh Allen looks good. He's just inaccurate at times, and yeah.
The only pushback I have in this game is the fact that Darnold's back this week. The only pushback on this game left.
Yeah, what has he really done?
You're right. You're right. I don't know. I like the Giants game, +1.5.
I have a buddy who mentioned that to me today, but he likes it more in a teaser. The Redskins are just a debacle, but what Giants team is going to show up?
They're playing better now these days.
It's not like they're any good either,
It's more in Washington. It's more in Washington than more in the Giants. In Washington, they're down to Mark Sanchez as a quarterback. Come on.
I know, but at some point, you got to figure, he might be able to at least he understands the offense to a point where. And don't get me wrong, I am not defending Mark Sanchez, so let's put that on the record.
Okay, no problem.
But he might be able to like help them move the football if they can run the football. If you can like get a couple if you can run the ball a little bit, a couple play actions and easy throws for him to get him into the game a little bit, okay. If they get up his ass and around the corner immediately, then they're fucked.
I'm trying to burn the tape on some old episodes I did back in 2011 and 2010 and old blogs and columns I wrote defending Sanchez. Looking back like 7 years later, it looks so stupid. Oh my God.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't though, dude, because in his first 2 years, he went to 2 AFC championship games. Yes, they had the best defense in football, probably. But he beat, didn't he beat Peyton in one, and I don't know. He just beat a lot of really good quarterbacks.
I even defended him going to Denver saying, well, finally he has a team to play with. Come on now. It's really funny to me that teams continue to draft quarterbacks from USC. What are you doing? Carson Palmer's been the only quarterback from USC in the last 20 years or so that's done anything in the NFL at all. Right.
Can you name me anybody else?
That's true. That's it.
Why are teams drafting quarterbacks from USC?
I don't get it.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see with Darnold. We'll see with Darnold. Got a couple of years to make this, an assessment.
Yeah, you got to give him his time. There's no question about that. But I don't. I think the upside is with Mayfield and Allen as far as that group goes.
Well, I'm glad
Rosen just has nothing around him.
Well, yeah. USC quarterbacks is fucking stupid. Before I let you go, I'm glad you mentioned Josh Allen. You're a big Bills fan. For the listeners, don't know that. he's been impressive in the times I've seen him. I mean, look, obviously a lot of work to be done, but you look at all the quarterbacks that came in the league this year. Mayfield and Rosen, and certainly Mayfield made some strides for the most part. But I'd be hard pressed to say that Josh Allen might be the second best quarterback in this draft right now.
He is extremely athletic. He's really mobile, outside the pocket, makes plays. He can draw some comparisons to names I won't bring up because I don't want people to ridicule me or whatever. But if he can figure out how to stay in the pocket and throw the ball to a target on a more regular basis, he essentially missed 3 touchdown passes last week. One was overthrown by about 1.5 feet. Another, the guy kind of had his feet tangled and it was a little behind him. And then the last one was the last play of the game where Charles Clay apparently isn't athletic enough to run back towards the football.
Yeah.
The long and short of it is I have been more than impressed with the guy without anything around him. They just released Benjamin and Thompson. Good. Get the guys out of there that are making it harder for the kid to learn. Just give me a guy who's going to finish a route, try to catch a football and take a hit. Yeah. For a kid who's trying to learn and get better. They obviously know that they need to assess their needs on offensive line and at wide receiver in the draft. Okay, sure. Just don't get the kid killed. Don't kill his confidence and let him go out and do his thing. And he's exciting to watch.
I'm not making a prediction right now on this, but it feels like the Buffalo Bills are starting to become stable now.
Defensively, I don't know if this is exactly right, but I want to say around 40% of their defense is in their first and second year, and that defense is studly. They're not the best defense in football, but they're extremely good, and at home, they're tough. Very tough.
Right. All right, Cliff. Let's go on the pod tonight. Appreciate it. My kid just woke up. Good timing, man. Good timing.
That's right. Back to the dumpster fire of the football game this is tonight.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We'll talk soon, buddy, okay?
All right, buddy.
Thank you.